2001 Toyota RAV4 thermostat replacement. I'm Brian Esser from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the process of changing that out. Okay, to get the thermostat out, it's underneath the alternator here, so we need to remove the alternator. So the first step we're going to do, right here on the passenger side, we're going to remove this panel here. And there's a clip here, they look like these, so you just kind of turn them. So you pop these clips out, there's going to be one here, one here, one here, and a couple up on the up next to the glass. Once you get those removed, you're going to disconnect the negative battery cable. So after disconnecting the battery, now I'm going to go ahead and remove the serpentine belt. So right here, right next to the, underneath the motor mount here, is the tensioner. So the nut for the tensioner turned out to be a 19 millimeter. So you're going to put a 19 millimeter socket, or I'm using a serpentine belt tool, and you're going to rotate it clockwise, and that's going to release the tension, and you just slip it off the alternator and just let it hang. You don't need to unroute it from how around all the other pulleys. Just let it hang off the alternator. You can see my tensioner tool is quite long. Get it in there, and then you just rotate it clockwise, and then that'll release the tension. So now, after getting the belt off, what I'm going to do is remove the 14 millimeter bolt here at the back of the alternator, and a little bit below it right here is a 12 millimeter bolt. I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and I'm going to try to leave everything hooked up and just kind of wiggle it off. Probably use a pry bar here after you get the bolts out here and pry the alternator out of its little perch here, and then I'm going to try to swing it over here in this area. And I'm going to try to leave everything plugged in. If I need to disconnect any electrical connectors, I'll unplug them and to gain access, but I always try to leave them plugged in while I'm doing these type of things. And then after you get the alternator out of the way, then right here is the thermostat, and we'll have access to all the bolts and stuff. So now that I got the alternator tucked out of the way, if you reach your hand down here, and underneath you can feel the 10 millimeter bolt. So what I'm going to shorty 10 millimeter wrench like this, and there's just enough room to reach around back like this and get the wrench on there on the bolt, and you crack it free. And after you crack it free right here, you can spin the nut off with your fingers, and then you crack the 10 millimeter nut here. You can use probably a regular ratchet or an extension here, and you can get this one off. So now that you've got the nuts off, you want to make sure you have a bucket underneath, and you're just going to work it out like so. And then if you have to maneuver your alternator or whatever, lift it up, whatever, to get it out. Mine's kind of wedged in here. I'm trying not to take out the AC here. I'm pretty sure I can do this by angling it. I can get this the neck out. So by kind of moving the alternator a little bit out of my way and just kind of twisting the head of the thermostat housing here, I was able to angle it and get it out without removing anything else off of it. So now what you can do is just go ahead and pop out the thermostat here. And if you notice on this, the air bleed is at the top, so when you go to put your new one back in, you're going to do that. I also wanted to mention to make sure you have a coolant bucket underneath. So after getting your old thermostat out, you're going to take the new thermostat and put the O-ring around the new thermostat, so it'll look like that. And then you're just going to inspect your housings here. If they need cleaning up, then go ahead and clean that up. If they don't, if they're in good shape, then you can go ahead and reinstall the thermostat. So now we're ready to install our new thermostat, and you want to make sure the air bleed hole is at the top when you do this, and you're going to install it like this. So you're just going to line it up with the little rubber grommet and kind of push it in there until it's flush all the way around. And like I said, the air bleeds at the top. Now after that's done, you can go ahead and slip on your coolant pipe neck here, or housing. So I went to put the thermostat housing back on, and it was giving me a really tough time. So what I did was I took the stud out, and if you look on the end of it, it has a little, looks like a reverse Torx bit. So I took my female Torx bit, which is an E5, and I just put it on the end of the stud and removed the stud. So it made it really easy to slip the housing on. And now I'm just going to take the stud and put it back in through here. Now I just started the threads on the stud, and then I'll just use my socket here, and I'll just tighten it until the stud bottoms out. Then I'll put the nuts on and tighten them down, top and bottom. That was the stud. Now I'll put the nuts on. So to put the lower bolt on, I'm just going to hold up my fingers, turn my hand around backwards like this, and reach around, and then kind of feel with my fingers and start it. So there's no room to get any torque wrenches or anything like that in there, so I just use my shorty and got it in there and tighten it up as tight as I can get it, and then tighten the top bolt up, and that's pretty much it. Now we're just going to slip the alternator back over the little perch, start the 2 bolts and tighten those down. And if you disconnect any wiring or anything like that to make it easier for you, go ahead and replug that back. So after I got the alternator stabbed here on the top, I used my right hand here and I kind of held the alternator and kind of wiggled it back and forth while I reached around with my other hand on the back side to start the bottom bolt. And once you got them both started, then you can run them in and tighten them both up. Now that the alternator's back on, you can clearly see the tensioner better. Now what you can do is put your belt back on, so you're going to route it back in the position the kind of way it came off, and then use your serpentine belt tool or a 19mm ratchet with and put your belt back on. Remember, you're going to rotate it clockwise. Here's a little diagram of how the belt routed, just in case your belt fell off or whatever. Now that you got your drive belt back on, you can go ahead and fill up your car with the Toyota approved coolant, and then after that, go ahead and reinstall your negative cable and put the shield back on, the clips. Hold on, then you're going to start the car and run it until your thermostat opens up down here. And it's kind of dangerous with the moving belt, but if you're careful, you can reach your hand around here and you can feel the temperature of the hose, and when the thermostat opens up, it'll go from cold to warm or hot, and then your coolant level may drop as you do it. You may have to adjust your coolant level, and you want to also make sure that you have no heaters, no AC on, anything like that, and run it until your AC fans come on and run. And once you've done all that, then you can reinstall your radiator cap and go for a test drive. And then when I get back from the test drive, I like to let it cool down for about 20-30 minutes, and then take the radiator cap off and make sure there's no pressure in the hose. Take the radiator cap off and double check my coolant level, and also don't forget to check your overflow bottle here. There's a low level mark that it's supposed to be at. Make sure that's in the proper range, and once you complete that, that completes the thermostat replacement on a 2001 Toyota RAV4. I'm Brian Esser from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching the videos.